Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Today I want to talk to you about how I'm approaching the card market right now, my bullishness around Splinterlands card assets, specifically a focus that's totally new for me. I'm looking at gold foils, I'm looking at rental returns, I'm looking at it's a totally flipping opportunities, it's a total resurgence to some of my old approach to how to handle cards because there's been a bit of a flat line and actually an uptick in prices ever since September or October of last year. And it's meaningful. And so it's time to start paying attention. If you agree and if you want to hear more thoughts on this, stick around, stay tuned, like and subscribe. Have an amazing day. God bless. Funds are tighter. It's Christmas, it's holidays. It's like, I get it. What in 2024 are you aiming at? What are some of the things you want to look for? What are some of the things you're maybe trying to, in the short term to medium term, like what are some of the places you want to allocate some of your resources within Splinterlands?
Yeah, so definitely towards Rebellion. Probably get some more Rift Watchers, a few key cards from that. Like gonna get the Bramble Pixie, but my goal already was to get like a gold foil Grimbarden.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, yes, this guy's so good. He's gonna be played for next 2 years. I'm gonna get him. There's no more supply of him coming out, so I'm gonna get him. And then the Mantaroth. And then just had to get him in regular foil. But he's just still so good with the true strike and repair and shield. It's a double strike pretty much. Um, but going forward, probably going to wait a few months, might get some more Chaos Legion cards, and then try to get Rebellion in the spring, I believe, once there's more liquidity available. And we can actually buy full copies of cards right now,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't even get 400 copies of a common currently. So it kind of seems like we need to wait at least for someone to buy packs. And then want to keep filling out my land too. I have a bunch of land plots. But then I also realized that when Chaos Legion rotates, I'm gonna have a bunch of gold foils that I'll be able to put back on land. That'll be like gold level or higher. So
Mm.
I don't really need to fill up my land right now. I can wait another year almost to activate the other half of the plots, and I'll be just fine.
Mm. I'm interested in more and more gold foils lately. Now I don't I'm I'm like a penny pincher kind of, right? So I'm not gonna race
Yeah.
into anything. But as I look at, like, for instance, Mantaroth, and I think $338 for a BCX. There's only 12 of these available, and there will never be more than, right, 222 BCX of this card. This is a very, very rare card, and you might and that is expensive. It's about double what you would have to pay, right? Because it's about $50 a BCX. So if you wanted to spend three of them to get a level 2, you'd need to spend $150 to get a regular foil Mantaroth, or $340 to get a level 1 or level 2 rather, gold foil. So it's more than double. But sometimes gold foils are like 20x the value. That's one of the
Yeah.
things. If you look at some of the older editions and you see the distinction between regular and gold, the gap is wider and wider. And the reason for that is, if you think through logically supply and demand, you recognize that in a moment like this, like Rebellion recently launched, what you have is people received gold foil Mantaroths when they bought their packs. And they aren't necessarily gold foil aficionados and like collectors. They don't really care, maybe. Some of them do and some of them don't. And so that means you have some people who are holding Mantaroth gold foils that don't really ultimately plan to long term. And so they end up listing for whatever they think the market is going to go for. Guys like this with the 770, like he listed thinking maybe he listed before everybody else, or maybe he's listed at that price saying, I don't care what the other ones go for. I'm not willing to sell it for less than that. This, to me, this number makes more sense to me than this does. But that doesn't mean it's a good deal in the short term, because it takes months at least, or years possibly, for that supply to find its way to the hands of people who are never going to sell it. And that's when you start to get to a place where there's like no available cards. And that's when you start looking at some of like the older, like if we look at, let's see, just try and find something comparable. Oh, that's not at all comparable. 50, look at that, 50 copies. Wow. Lux Vega. Lux Vega is actually pretty comparable in the total BCX. But these are all max copies, I guess, is this different angle to look at.
My God. Gold foil Lux for $4,000.
Yeah. Look at Zar.
I don't know. Maybe I should get the gold foil Mantaroth too. We'll see.
I'm sorry, like I can see an argument for it. Now, I don't think that it's suddenly going to moon and you're going to laugh about the price appreciation, but I do think at some point in the future, these cards are, it's not like the regular foil Mantaroth where you can say, I'll get it later. The gold foil of some of these cards will get to a place where it's just not available. And then maybe you can find it through Discord by soliciting some person you end up fighting and you're like, hey, I always fight off against Gold Matters and he has a Mighty Drick in gold foil. Well, maybe I can talk to him in Discord and finagle out of his hands. But I'm saying, like, if this matters to you, and it probably doesn't matter to everybody, but if it does, like, it's interesting to look at these prices. Even Dr. Blight, I mean, there's double the copies of it. This feels pretty inexpensive. As I look at Constantia, this feels cheap to me.
Yes.
Like, again, gold foil. There's only 530 copies of this thing, 320 total cards. How does that compare to Mantaroth? So it's about double what the Mantaroth is, but it's what, like half the price, I guess. I don't know, man. It's just interesting, I guess. Does any of that resonate with you, Mitch?
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. If Dr. Blight has 4 times the supply of total DCX, then Mantaroth should be like 4 times higher than he is.
Yeah, $1,000.
And he's gonna be used for longer. I mean, he may not be as strong as Dr. Blight because he costs like triple the mana, but still, just based on that alone, like a rarity perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very different cards, but yeah, 2 years in the modern, 6 months in the modern. Main tank with like tons of resiliency, amazing card, can be used in a lot of positions. Flank gives it even more flexibility, cheaper, easier to use, but double the supply. Yeah, I mean, I'm not racing out to buy 340 for it, but I do see an argument for why you would want to. Yeah, I wonder if the chat has anything to say about that.
Yeah, I want to say one thing about the regular Mantaroth.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to play the market a bit. Like the bid price was like $38 and the buy price was 62. So there was a really large gap, and I'm like, I'm not paying 62 copies. And I started bidding like 40, then 42, and then the sell prices came down to try to meet me because I'm offering like real bids. And then I was able to got one for like 42, and then the rest for like 44, 46. So I was able to manipulate the buy price by putting out like actual bids that the sellers were interested in.
Yeah. That's the way, man. Like if you look at the distinctions sometimes between high bid and low buy, there's a window in there. And if patience matters, but you got to have the DEC for one thing, and 2, you got to have the patience. But yeah, especially with some of these cards that are like, if you just want some common, Chaos Legion or Rift Watcher or Untamed, probably it's just going to be available. But some of the less, especially the promos, it makes a lot of sense to come in here and drop bids. Let's see what the chat has to say about any of that. Vilson was wondering what else I'm holding outside of SPS, out of Splinterlands. I've got an XRP bag. I have some other things too, but that's probably the main thing. Blaze, good to see you again, buddy. I had another event. Having two years is cool, but all. I've been buying Link. Alex is into Link. Link went for a ride. I'm not on that train. I'll watch the recap of the shows. I'm asleep. Larkin, thanks for stopping by, buddy. Nothing wrong for making more. Alex, nothing wrong with making more because you know more than the next guy. Absolutely. I don't know what the context of that comment is, but that's so true. One of the cool things about Splinterlands is definitely that if you see past what everybody else sees and you start to see opportunities that no one else is paying attention to, there is always opportunity in a game like this. And the coolest thing about that means is like there's a game within the game. The game is the rank experience, the deck building, and then the execution of that play style. Like when you actually go to the rank play and you use your cards in the best way possible. But then there's angles within that to build the best deck for the least cost. And there's angles within that you use the rental market or to, there's just so many different ways to approach it that you can stretch what you're doing. Harry Larry McNary. I would love to have a gold foil Mantaroth, but I have learned from the past when a card becomes more and more valuable, it becomes really hard to sell at full or even 70% value. I only buy cards for fun. Yeah, I like how you expressed your angle. Like you see that you would love it and you would probably want the bonus and you'd use it. But then if you bring it, you buy it and you put it together, you're gonna like take a 30% L when you eventually liquidate, because there's that. But if you sell single BXCXs, you can get the full value usually, but not if you compile.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good point.
I guess the gold foil angle is got to be the multi-year angle. It's like, are you thinking about playing this game for 5 or 10 more years, assuming it's still here? Now, I think it will be. Is that your vision? And if you actually do like if guys like, I bet Gold Matters is one of those guys. He's here, and if this game's here in 10 years, Gold Matters will be here doing his thing. And if you guys don't know, you should follow Gold Matters on, everybody probably knows, but let's show it anyways. Gold Matters on X is always covering Splinterlands. He's got funny stuff. He's got intelligent stuff. He's a great guy. I don't know him personally, but amazing follow on X. And then...
Yeah, he's great. And he makes shorts too, YouTube shorts, but a lot of people don't do that.
That's right. And then Gold Matters. Look at... No, that's not right. Is that right? I don't think so. Okay. Yes. 200, like $250,000 in assets. Is that gold foil only? Yes. That's gold foil only. $270,000 on his account from gold foil cards only. And
at today's prices.
Yeah. And it's interesting to imagine, like, look at this, the total value filterable using list prices is 37,000, because list prices mean like it's not even calculable, because like in many cases there is no card listed. And so then using market prices but this is confusing also because there's such limited supply. In some cases, the prices are just whatever you want to list for. Regardless, I'm saying guys like this who acquire gold cards and are here in 10 years, if this game's still doing its thing, are going to be the only ones that have the cards to sell the cards. And so you'll see they'll list for whatever they want. And if you can already see it sometimes when you look at, like if I go into promo, gold foil, and like some of these older ones, like there is no Archmage Arius, period. And
no, and he has 2 of them.
Yeah, does he?
He's got 2 Archmage Ariuses. I saw on X one day. It's like, oh, someone was selling this for cheap, so I had to snag him up back in November. He's probably got like, I don't know what.
That's so wild.
At least 10% of the Archmage Ariuses, maybe 20% in total supply. He's pretty much has like monopolistic pricing power where he can charge what he wants. Because the other people that have the gold foil Archmage Arius is probably never or hardly gonna sell them. Like you're not gonna get like 5 people selling them at the same time.
I've got another topic I want to talk about, and the thing that I wanted to talk about, that I wanted to share with you and also invite your comment on, Skeeter, is that recently I've been looking at the market in a new way. I've been looking at the available marketplace using Peak Monsters and looking specifically at, the most important cards. Now I go legendary is usually what I start with. And then I'm looking at everything from Rebellion and trying to find the prices that are for entry points that I want, not just summoners. And I've been tracking and I'm watching like what's going up, what's going down. Barradalin is one that I love, and I need a few more 5 more copies of, and the price is ticking up a little. Rosh Townsend, I have level 3, and I'm okay with that for now. I recently bought a Max Darg. I recently bought a Max Arcane.
You chose like 4 of the best cards.
Yeah.
Set, I feel like.
Yep, I agree.
I also want to get that Rune Seer, that dragon support card.
Yes, where's that one? You're right.
It was off to the right, next to the right of the Barra.
This one?
Yeah.
Sevilla. Yeah, because it's got the repair, it's got the blind, it's got the protect. Yes, this is such a key card for all that armor strike stuff we talked about. But what I'm noticing about how I'm approaching the marketplace now, it's like, first and foremost, what's cheap? And so that's a ongoing monitoring where I'm just kind of anecdotally looking and seeing, does that seem reasonable as compared to other things? I'm looking at regular foil versus gold. I'm looking for opportunities, and that's hard to pin down because sometimes it's really clear. Like earlier, you bought that gold foil, which was cheaper than the regular foil. And I bought that Soothsayer that was gold foil that was cheaper than a regular foil.
Yeah.
That's obvious. You do that, period. But often it's far more complicated. And you're like, well, the gold foil is a little better and it's got the bonuses and maybe the margin is reasonable. But one thing I'm really seeing as a benchmark for determining if a card is worth purchasing at the price allotted is just the rental card opportunity, because the ROI or ROA from your rental opportunity, it says here on Peak Monsters, ROA equals yearly return on asset using card price at the same level or Splinterlands low BCX price if not available. So it's 365 times the daily price divided by the card price. And so you end up getting this percentage number that really calculates the profitability of an asset. So this is pretty interesting stuff, man, because of this. Now, I don't think you have to take it with a grain of salt when you look at Rebellion, because there's so few rental cards on the market that the rental card prices could fall and fall and fall as more supply comes online. But when you zoom out and pull away from Rebellion and start looking at what I've been doing, I did the same for Rift Watchers. I did the same for Chaos Legion. And I found that the place of most intrigue is maybe promo, because these are some of the ones that are super rare in the first place. So the rental markets are maybe the thinnest. And then they're also some of the best cards. And you can look at regular foil because they can be quite affordable. But I found gold foil there's some interesting stuff happening in here. Actually, I thought Bear was promo. Is Bear reward? Archimist Bear.
The Bear was promo.
Yeah. Where is he? Is he in front of me here?
You're on Legendary.
Oh, that's why. So looking at Archimist Bear, this is an amazing card. I have it already. I have a gold foil. I have regular foil. I have a max reg foil. But to me, a card like this, now there's a lot of BCX, but there's never going to be any more. And there's very strong rental returns, 16%. Anything above 10 in my exploration of the market is like, this card is actually rents really well. And we know Archimist Bear is an amazing card. I use it all the time. So I'm finding, I guess what I'm saying is there's a real interesting path using this rental market and this data to ascertain which assets are the most long-term hold friendly. Do you ever look at that? Do you rent the cards personally for your own profit? Do you look at buying cards that are offering that opportunity? Any comment on this at all?
Yeah, so for a while, like last year, 2022, 2023, I was buying a lot of cards for rental purposes, like Chaos Legion and stuff. And then the rental market for Chaos Legion kind of fell flat for a while, but the other sets, you have to think of each set individually. You can't think of like, because Chaos Legion was oversupplied, that means Rift Watcher is going to be oversupplied, or Rebellion is going to be oversupplied. They're each like individual like industries. They're all like kind of like unrelated. They don't have like a coefficient with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think the rental stuff could be pretty interesting. But with like Rebellion specifically, the ROI is going to go down. and you're only really able to rent the cards for 2 years in Modern, where you get the most ROI and interest in investing. So it's hard to make the card fully pay for itself
Hmm.
in 2 years. But like the bear, if you buy him and then just rent him out for like a couple years, and then you can get like a third of your money back if he's rented all the time. Like that's still pretty good. Then you can put him on land, or you just hold him and rent him for a while, then you sell it before he's going to rotate out, and you get some free money that way. Like there's definitely opportunities to rent. I've just been a little scarred by the rental market,
Yeah.
but I haven't really tried to do that a lot, and I haven't been getting that much from like my auto rental services.
Yeah. I I bought two of these guys the other day at 20 BCX each, which puts it in the level 8 range. So playable at the highest levels. And, it's going to have a diminished return opportunity. Like it's not going to give you a penalty is what I'm saying, like on your wins, if you're playing in champ, but it does have like one less damage and it doesn't have the enrage. Still an amazing card, man. The force field is so strong. And I was able to rent them both for the 25 DC that equated to, 16%. I think that was what the price was. So you make good points. It's maybe not every situation, not every card is going to continue to sort of hold those percentages. And I especially Rebellion, because there's going to be more and more supply that come online. It's very important to think that through. If you're buying something for a rental perspective, you probably want to imagine that it's at its place of lowest desirability, meaning there's not more copies coming in market, meaning it's not going to soon be out of the Modern, which would push its desirability down. If it's already a wild card, if it's still really useful in the current meta, if it has been for a long time, all of those things might point to some of that intrigue or that opportunity. It's something to think through. It's one of the angles to look at when you're looking at card selection, card purchases. And I haven't recently, maybe because of what you said and how rental card prices definitely they were crazy for a season or a few seasons, and then they kind of fell off. So maybe lots of people are thinking what you expressed, which is like, I'm not going to go there again. But it's just something to think about. And I personally am definitely, I'm looking at it, looking for opportunities. I'm not going hard on it, but I'm looking for opportunities in it.
Oh no, totally. If other people have the same sentiment as me, and people don't want to get into it, that means there's an opportunity because it's like underutilized, and the rental market's definitely been really tight for a lot of cards. Like, can't even get. I only have one VCX of the Agor Longtail, the Dragon Taunt guy.
Yep.
And I can't even rent another level 3. There's like literally 0 on the market. Not even like a level 2.
Is that a gold foil or reg?
For rental. Gold foil, Agor.
That's Rift Watchers, right?
Correct.
So you have a level 1 BCX or level?
Level 2. So I need to get one more BCX to get the heal. Because that's how gold is split to get level 2.
Gotcha.
But yeah, in gold foil, there's literally nothing available in Blast Brawl.
Another thing I've been doing recently as I look for deals on the marketplace, because I am strongly considering buying other assets. Like I said at the beginning of the conversation, one of the ways is rental revenue and the profitability around rent. But another is looking at, there is starting to be this influx of more and more full BCX copies of different resources and cards that I don't have maxed out. I do not have a level 4 Aggro Longtail. I have a level 3. It is really, really strong at level 3, but an extra melee damage or magic damage or whatever gets buffed.
Magic.
I would like that. And here we go.
That's insane. Because when you go from 2 to 3 magic damage, you're doing 2 damage against the void, and if they bring one silence, like the Goblin Psychic, then the level 3 will only go from 2 damage down to 1 damage and do 0 damage against void. But if you get that 3 magic damage, then you're at least doing 1 damage against void.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's an amazing card, and I play it a lot, and I could show the data around it in a second, but 1590 is starting to get, this is starting to happen. You're starting to see more and more people fighting against one another to get to be the low price. And that's an opportunity to me. Like if you don't already have cards like this and you want them, this has been 17, 18 bucks for a while. Like these prices have been really holding stable, I would say, for a long while with the Agor specifically. This is, if you don't have this card and you've got $175, that's interesting. And it's not happening on all of them, but look at this. That's a right there. That's if I had right now $299, I would buy this right now. Because one, this card's amazing. Two, it's $5 cheaper per BCX than the low buy. Like this is, I want to buy it right now and flip it. But by the time I sell my SPS and get the DC, somebody else will do it. But man, like right now, this is an amazing card. This is very powerful. It fits with like, it works really well in. The immunity is huge. The trios is huge. The repairs are significant. This is such a strong card, and I want it. So that's it. Let me expand on the idea of flipping too. With cards like this, I would be interested in buying it and trying to flip it, but I would do so from the perspective of knowing if it doesn't sell for a profit, I'm happy to keep it. That's always the key to it. It's got to be this two-part picture where if it doesn't sell, if I could buy this right now and make 30 bucks on it, right? Like if I could buy it and sell it for 30 bucks a BCX, yes, there's a fee in there. I'd have to calculate how much of the 5% eats through my 30 bucks. But if I can make 20 bucks on that, that's 20 bucks I didn't have before. And then also if it doesn't sell after, let's say 30 days, well, I just got myself a new inevitable. And to me, in my position with my enjoyment of that card, that's like that's another angle I'm really trying to explore right now. And I'm seeing those opportunities are happening in Rift Watchers and in Chaos Legion and in Untamed in ways that were totally not happening 6 months ago or a year ago. And so that's exciting.
Definitely. And like, it's a lot easier to, and less risk when you flip cards when the card prices are going up like they currently are, compared to when they're been going down. So now it's like, I feel like now a good time to get back into monster flipping if you're into that. I personally don't like the risk. I've been burned a couple times or made poor decisions where I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy out the whole market of this one gold foil. And then like 20 more come on the market because other people have them.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. It's tricky and it's not without risk. So to me, one of the safest ways to do it is when you feel the card is at a discounted price, you see it on the marketplace, but then also if you have to keep it, you're totally okay with that. That's the best flip because if you can get 20 to 30%. Now, and I would also say some of the best flips in my past have been like 30 to 50% gains from a flip on a card price. So if your margins are like with that inevitable that we showed, theoretically you could buy it for 27 and you could flip it for 30, 31 per BCX. Now you're probably not going to sell really quick. And if you list that inevitable for 31, which is slightly lower than the 1 BCXers, there's somebody's going to go ahead and say, I can sell mine for 30 bucks per. So you're going to get into a bidding war. So it's a whole thing. But again, if I wanted it, if I didn't have it, I would be happy to, that would be one step closer to me being able to pull the trigger on something like that. And this too, now the margins are too thin here. I can tell, like it's only 80 cents per BCX.
I want to go back to that inevitable card you're talking about. So there's some really interesting points on it. If you look on the ROA right now for rentals, it's over 50%. So like that card could actually pay for itself if you rent it out in 2 years.
Wow. Wow. And this one is a lower BCX, isn't it? Like 3,600 versus 57 on the 45. The inevitable was the last one, I think.
But then look at the stats for the month, like on the top right. There's like that month tab near the price.
How do I do that?
You can see.
Oh.
Yeah, that one. You can see the last one sold for $25 a BCX recently, and there was. I don't know how many. I forgot to look how many. Look again. The quantity supply. Yeah, it sold for $764 recently. So there was, 2 max level copies sold for $25 a couple days ago. So like, that also makes me afraid to try to flip it because it just sold for less than the current selling price right now.
So good. So super valuable. Thank you for pointing that out. I don't use that feature, so that's really helpful. Yeah, I think this picture would begin to dissuade me. But again, the conversation, it has to be multifaceted. The angles with which you look at any one of the opportunities in front of you, like, okay, so it's $300. Is there some other place you could place $300 that would be more impactful? To me, this is a card I want. That would weigh into it, but it would be, but then this data you just showed me would weigh against my decision. And the margin, let's say I sold it for $3 per profit. I bought it for 27 and I was able to sell it for $30 a pop. Now I don't know if that would sell, but let's say I did. That would be $33 profit, but then there'd be a 5% fee and 5% on three
about 30 or so.
0.05.
31.
So it'd be like half my profit would go into a fee. So that's a really thin margin. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but man, opportunities like this exist, and maybe this is not the exact home run moment that I thought it was initially. But that's the review and consideration that. But again, if you wanted it, that's the other side of it. If you wanted it, and if you were happy to hold it, if it didn't sell, and then you're willing to see, I can make $16 if this thing does sell. That's part of it too.
And this card just rents. This card rents at 55%.
Yeah.
ROA. Like, that's ridiculous. And then there's a level 3 for sale, and that's renting for 50% a year ROA. So like, this card just might be a card just to rent and hold that way, because it's also so rare. You're probably not going to have that much competition for rentals at max level either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. You're right about the rental side, and you got to think through that too. Rebellion, Rift Watchers. Look at these returns. So there's not even one like listed right now, which means that there probably is something rented, but it's being, it's like 500 or something DEC a day or something. Hang on. So if they're saying it's a 50% ROI and it's $300, they're saying it gains about 50 cents a day. So yeah, there's probably one of those on the market, the inevitable, and it's renting for 400 or 500 DEC a day. Right now it's being rented. That's why it's not listing. And it might only be that one copy that exists on the market at that level. So interesting stuff. Okay, there's lots of chat from the, there's comments from the chat that we didn't touch on.
Oh, there's actually none. Or, let me look. Yeah, there's 0 level 4s on the rental market, and there's 3 level 3s. So you could literally set your price and get higher than at 55% ROA. You can push 65 if you're the only one.
What is the 3 going for? Level 3?
Level 3 is going for 572 DEC a day.
Wow. Yeah.
Or like 56 cents.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Even if you rented it for, maybe you'd buy it and you'd list it for season rental and do like 400 DEC a day or something. And I bet it gets snagged. And then across the sea.
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
I bet you could do at least 1,000 DEC a day. Like, if you're the only one, you could probably even put it up for 1,400 DEC. It'll get rented sometimes, but not like the whole year. It could even do that if you're the only one. But I would probably do at least 1,000 DEC a day.
Wow. Interesting. Really, really interesting. Like, I don't look at that side of things very often, but yeah, there's like a fullness of the rental plus the flip, plus the utility for you personally, plus the scarcity of the card, plus sometimes gold foil is exciting and interesting and more, either more affordable or at least reasonably more affordable than the regular foil. There's just so many layers to looking at the market, and this is what we talk about when we say the game within the game, because all of that, who cares if you don't spend any time with that? You might think, well, that's not Splinterlands. I pay attention to the game. I don't care about all this market analysis. Well, you know what? That stuff that we just did for 15 minutes is going to help you think through how to equip your deck with stronger cards for less money, and how to multiply the money you already have here, which then can be put to work in acquiring or renting other card assets that then allow you to be better at the game. And so it absolutely is connected. And a failure to see that connection is going to actually diminish your capacity for greater success in Splinterlands. Like, just Like, it's not even an argument. It's just literally, if you don't do any of that, if you don't see any of that opportunity, if you don't reconcile or wrestle with some of that, you are going to suffer some of a diminishment of return that's possible, period.
Yeah, you have to kind of enjoy the market. Like sometimes I don't enjoy looking for stuff, but talking with you and other friends, it's just so much more enjoyable to like try to find all these hidden gains and niches. Like you can, there's so many angles to play. Like like I was just saying, I was totally against rental revenue, and now I'm like, oh look, there's like a gold star option right now that I'm even considering buying and just renting right now.
Yeah.